you know, when you're sitting in that courtroom and they're like, maximum sentence is 10 years for this charge, you're like, oh my God, like what did I just do?
Hey everybody, I'm Eric Oberembt, and you're listening to Be Authentic or Get the Fuck Out. We talk about real shit, what's on our minds, and don't give a fuck if it makes you feel a little uncomfortable. So sit back, strap in, and get ready for some real shit. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Be Authentic or Get the Fuck Out. I'm your host, Eric Oberembt, here at Win the Storm 2024, and special episode today. We have been trying to get together to make this happen in person. I have been very intentional for like 5 seasons now, whatever the fuck we're in, of making sure that we're doing shit in person, and I have not wavered from that. I have a feeling that I'm going to have to in the future at some point. I'm trying not to, but we've been very intentional about trying to put this together, and I'm really excited today to have a conversation with my man, Randy Brothers. Randy, thank you for being here today.
Bro, it's been a long time coming.
We did it.
Finally here. We're finally doing this.
We stuck to our guns that we were going to do it in person.
In much respect, I'm grateful for that, because hopefully this will be a good one. I've been looking forward to joining you. Congrats on the show and making all this stuff happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what the fuck I'm doing, but
yeah, I didn't either, man. I started with a iPhone.
Yeah.
And like a little tripod that was broken.
Yeah.
And no audio, and we're just, let's do a podcast. And 6 years later, I'm still trying to figure it out. So
I remember when we started, I literally didn't know what to do, but not only did I not know what to do, I didn't know like what I needed. And so like I called Sam Taggart, and I was like, what should I buy? So he gives me a list, and he's like, all right, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. I'm like, all right, cool. And then I go to this gal that was working for me at the time, and I was like, so we have all this, will you help me? And she's like, yeah, sure. And so we got all these boxes laying in the studio where we're going to set up the room. And I'm like, do you know how to use any of it? And she's like, no, I thought you did. I'm like, I don't have a fucking clue how to even turn it on. I don't know what plugs into what. I don't know anything. So it has been a journey.
That's business, though, right? That's entrepreneurship, isn't it?
Boy, you're right, aren't you?
Just ready, fire, aim, and figure it out.
And figure it the fuck out later.
Yeah, man.
So tell everybody real quick what Randy does so they know who you are and why they should give a shit to listen today.
Man, I am an unemployable entrepreneur, man. I just stumbled and found my way into the roofing business, and actually the roofing business found me in a pretty crazy time of my life, and I've been blessed and been able to see some incredible success and bring all the people around me success, and it's just been an incredible journey, and all because of, you know, some young kid wanting to figure it out, and moved in the roofing space and became a roofer. I was a salesman, traveled a little while, became an insurance adjuster for a little bit.
Oh, did you?
And then ultimately started my roofing company, and then realized, you know, I put some really good people around me. We built some incredible systems and processes to the point where I got a wild hair to write a book, so I wrote a book.
What's the name of the book?
It's called Start It, Build It, Grow It.
Okay.
The Contractor's Guide to Success.
Okay.
And wrote that, went bestseller, and started, you know, getting a lot of traction from that. Started speaking and traveling around, and at the same time, we started our own podcast. And I really found a passion for giving back. And you know, what I wanted to do is give back to the other Randys of the world, right?
Yeah.
The young, ambitious kid that just wants to make something happen for himself and just didn't know what the hell he was doing. And so now, like, I spend a lot of my time just trying to pour into others within my roofing company as well as my consulting company, just trying to build leaders and build up others in the industry.
What's interesting is that, like, once you start doing it on this micro level, right, like inside of your business, what it did for me is it made me have that passion to do it on a larger scale, right? Like whether it's consulting or speaking on stages or putting together events or whatever it is, right? It's interesting because I was learning and growing and whatever and pouring into my people, and they're handful, right? Like however many people you have work for. You might have 2, you might have 50, you might have 20, right? But you start doing it on this micro level, and you're like, how do I reach more without having to hire more?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's expensive.
Because that gets fucking expensive. Yeah. Especially if you don't need them. And I think that's a mistake that a lot of people. I mean, we learned that lesson recently. Is leaning down, right? Sometimes you have to know when to lean down and when to grow, right? And just because you're leaning doesn't fucking mean that you're going the wrong direction. It means, you know what I mean? Like
you're still growing as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner.
Right.
Like I've learned
because you went
way
through some
more.
Of that, didn't you?
Yeah, man. I learned way more having to like lean down my company and, you know, reset my company. Than I did scaling. I mean, we went from 2 million or 2.5 million to 20 million in 4.5 years.
Oh shit.
That was a fun ride, bro.
Yeah.
Okay. I had the golden touch. We were on top cover of Roofing Contractor magazine 3 years in a row, Inc. 5000. Like we were crushing it.
Really?
And then storm stopped. Then COVID happened.
Right.
All those things combined, 4 years in a row with no storms, you really realize what you're made of as a business owner, as a problem solver, as an entrepreneur. Because, you know, we caught lightning in a bottle and it was great. We did well with it. But I learned more on the way down than I did on the way up.
For sure.
And now we've reset and we're stronger and better than we've ever been.
Yeah. Are you being super intentional about, because this is what I'm doing, because we haven't had a storm in fucking forever, like a good one, right? Yeah. Are you being super intentional about planning for that non-storm?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't know where I got this, but somehow this was before the downturn. Even on our way up, I still would start every year when we do our annual meeting, and I would start every year with my sales team, and the whole team was like, we are not having a storm this year. What are we going to do?
Right.
And that's the mindset that I've always had. And we've just, okay, what different verticals or what can we do in our business to sharpen our axe and sharpen our saw in the event we don't get a storm. And for 7 years we got storms. Like, cool, okay, we got a storm, let's do that again. But we need to be better at retail. We need to be better at service. We need to be better at commercial. We need to, you know, we added a solar division because
how'd that go? After
4 years of no hail, we were like, we got to do something. So the market was hot and heavy in solar. The federal rebate program came out, and solar's been quite interesting. A lot of roofers think that, I can sell a roof, I can sell solar, right?
It's different.
It's a completely freaking different model, different everything, dude.
Yeah.
Like so many more logistics and details, and we feel like we're one of the most like systemized and processed almost too much in the country. Like we feel like that's why we teach it and coach it. Like we're very, 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 everything we do has a written SOP and a video and a training, and like everything we do is documented in our organization. And we still like got our ass kicked in solar.
Did you?
A little bit. Like,
were you installing too, or?
So yeah, so the journey there, we started just like all the roofers. Well, I'll just go sell it. Let me find someone to sell it. I'll sell it, and then someone else will build it.
Yep.
We quickly realized that a lot of the people building it, doing the installs, those companies were shit shows. So they were not showing. And of course, when we start this process, we're like, we're gonna start with our friends, our family, our other customers, and we'll start calling all them and sell them solar. Sure, they started buying solar, and all of a sudden, the installers that we had no control over, show up in like a freaking raggedy t-shirts, like just looking like not what our company brand is all about, and it just created, we're like, whoa, wait a minute, we're doing this the wrong way. That's when we decided that we're going to take control of the whole thing.
How long did that take you to figure out?
Probably like 3-4 months.
Okay, so not a long time.
No.
I mean, like long enough, but
long enough
but
to
not
where
a long time. You didn't go 2 years.
Had a few headaches.
Yeah.
And then we realized, nope, let's go a different route. Because once we realized that, we're like, hey, there's a big opening for somebody to step up and do installs really well.
Right.
So we're like, how do we do that? I think between roofing and solar, I have 100 licenses now.
Oh my God.
In the Colorado, just in Colorado.
Really?
That's how many different, because you got roofing license, you got your low slope license, you got your shingle license, you got your
do you guys have a low
solar
slope license out there?
In Denver, you have to have a low slope and
but
a
not
steep
Colorado.
Slope. No, it's not. There's no state licensing there. So every jurisdiction, every county has their own license, and they all have that for electric as well, and for solar. So now I'm like doubling down on all these licenses. It took like a year just to get all my freaking licenses.
Are they all in your name?
Yes, but we had to get a master electrician.
Oh,
so that's the key there. That master electrician actually has to. It's under their license underneath my company.
Got it.
That makes sense. So that's been tricky too.
So we're still in the solar game. We still like it.
We're still in the solar game. We do really well with the installs, but it seemed like every time we would figure something out, something else changed. So we figured the install out. So then we got on with a major manufacturer as one of their primary installers and started doing a bunch of installs. And they started throwing us a whole bunch of crap, like the hard stuff, like all these batteries that didn't work and all these. So we kicked butt. Like we went in and solved a lot of problems and figured it out. But there's no money. We just got our ass kicked financially. I was like, oh my God, we're spinning our wheels.
So there's no money in the install?
Installing batteries, no. You get screwed installing batteries. And we ended up doing a bunch of that to kind of prove ourselves.
Yeah.
And we're like, wait a minute, we just need to sling panels. And then the storm hit, and then we saw this big opportunity for DNR. So now, our main focus is detach and reset.
Oh, okay.
So that's like becoming our bread and butter in the solar space right now. So we're able to.
Are you marketing that?
Yeah, we do it for a number of other companies in our market. We're doing the DNR for them, separate branding. Our truck, our van just says Elite Solar on it. It has nothing to do with roofing. Doesn't matter a website on it.
Right.
Or our other truck is no branding at all.
Right.
So we'll just come in as kind of incognito and do that for other roofers.
Love that. Good for you. So I mean, it's really all about like our word for the year was pivot.
Pivot, yep.
Right, like because it was especially with no storms, right? Like you, as a business owner, if you're not figuring out different ways to pivot, you're going to fucking die. You're going to die on the vine, man. Right? Yeah. Like, I mean, I don't know. So, yeah, the other thing that I wanted to ask you about, I wanted you to talk about. I remember you and I had a conversation. This was maybe a couple years ago, and you were helping me with like a little tracking thing, right?
Yeah, I showed you our tracking like spreadsheet.
Yeah, and that was fucking amazing. Like I was so impressed of what you had put together there. I assume that's something that you do inside of your consulting stuff.
Yep.
Talk about that a little bit, because I think there's a lot of business owners that are watching, listening. It doesn't matter what fucking industry you're in, right? It's just it's business in general, right? Talk a little bit about how you keep track of those key metrics.
I mean, the numbers tell the story.
Right.
You got to run our business by the numbers. You hear it's a cliche, run your business by the numbers, but it's freaking true, man. Like, how am I supposed to make an educated decision as to, should I hire this person? Should I fire this person? Should I spend this money in marketing? Should I buy this truck? Should I do this? Like, the numbers tell the story and paint the picture. And I kind of was lucky early on in my journey where, you know, people around me were really intentional about tracking everything and measuring.
So it wasn't you?
Oh, hell no, man.
Okay, you're not the numbers nerd?
Oh, dude, no.
Okay.
I look at what I need to look at, but I surround myself with people that track things, that update spreadsheets, that create. I can work my way around a spreadsheet, okay?
Yeah.
But nowhere near the people
you don't
that
get
I surround
excited
myself
about it
with.
like they do.
No,
like
man.
spreadsheet people like fucking love spreadsheets. Like,
oh man,
love them.
Yeah. So my sister, who's my partner and she's our COO, she, my goodness, like if she could just sit and build systems and build, she's in heaven. And she's incredible. She's the one who built all that. Like, she's incredible with it.
Okay. And that makes sense. Yeah, I met her.
And we're constantly evolving and building and developing and making those better and better and better. And the thing is, with all the technology we have out there, that's great, right? We have QuickBooks, you have CRMs, we work with Job Nimbus, and you have, you know, Company Cam, all these different softwares, which are fantastic. But there's still some important metrics that you just need to freaking look at a spreadsheet and see. Like, we take every component of every job, financial and from a production project management perspective, and there's certain components we still put in the sheet because it tells us, it paints a picture of exactly where we are at any given time in our business. And what's the most important piece of that is financially. Like, I can open up a spreadsheet right now and tell you exactly how much money I have. You open your roofers, you open your bank account, that's not how much freaking money you have.
Right.
That's not. You open up your QuickBooks. That's telling a little bit of a different story. And so many of us don't realize that, and we just like run our business like we hustle, like we run our household. Like, how much cash do I got in my wallet? I got $500. Cool, I can go spend $400. Works. Doesn't work that way in business, and a lot of roofers make that mistake.
Is that something? Is that kind of like one of the big things that you teach when you come in and start consulting with a company? Is really dig into their financials first?
We do, yeah. And I have a whole separate company that actually my mom built, and she recently retired and sold it. And we're like sister, you know, companies where
she sold it.
She did. She sold it and retired to the gal that's been managing it for 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
So you already knew her.
Oh, absolutely. It was like, it was a pre-planned.
I was like, rude not to sell to you.
It was a pre-planned thing. No, I didn't want it. I just, you know, I had what I originally, that was the plan. I was like, I was going to buy it, but they worked out great. And so when someone comes on board, you know, we're going to do a whole session with them with an expert bookkeeping consultant that's going to look at their books.
Right.
And here's the thing. We got to take a little humble pie here, man. And like you and I both, probably if someone looked at our books, we're like, oh, there's some shit in there that we probably are not doing right, right?
Yeah.
And 9 out of 10 companies.
I've buried a fucking job or two. Yeah.
9 out of 10 companies, when we look at their books, regardless of the size of the company, there's a cleanup needs to happen.
Sure.
Some sort of cleanup. The chart of accounts is misrepresented. There's different things that aren't being tracked in the right categories. They're not job costs. Or here's what I see all the time. People are job costing, but they are not job costing enough. There's we call it slop. There's so much money just falling out of the bottom of their company that they don't even realize. So I'd spend 3 hours doing that, and they've paid for themselves for the whole year of working with us, right?
Really?
So yes, we're definitely going to dive into their finances. And then at that point, they get like a report that says, these are the things you need to work on, and your choice. You can either take this report and give it to your bookkeeper, or you can hire our team or that team to do the books for you, or you can hire them to do the cleanup for you and then pass it off, and we'll train your bookkeeper. So you have options at that point.
Yeah.
And I spend time talking about that because it's something nobody wants to talk about, and we're all like, oh, I'm not going to show you my books. I don't like. We're scared of it.
Maybe embarrassed.
And embarrassed, right? And rightfully so. Like, we're prideful. We're successful.
A lot of ego in this fucking
rocket ship we were on earlier. Like, no, bro. After all that, like, my books were in bad place. I had to fix them all. So, yeah. Got to spend more time on that for sure.
I agree.
Everybody does.
Do you? So, and obviously, you're running your roofing company, and then you've got this consulting business. How much time was that a struggle figuring out like where you're spending that time, right? Because like, and then you feel like you're neglecting one, and it starts to a little bit. Or have you always been amazing at that?
No, man.
Because I know I haven't.
And admittedly, so when I launched the consulting company, that was at the time where our company was my roofing company was thriving, doing really well. All these accolades, all things I talked about earlier, and I felt like we were doing great over there, right? So I was like, okay, I was intentional with my partner, but hey, I'm gonna go do this for a little bit, and I need you to kind of hold the fort down here, and I'm gonna bring you on. You'll help a little bit with the consulting side here and there. And I went in and worked on the consultant side, you know. But what I found through all of that was I got a little bit too detached.
Yeah.
And
that's kind of what I was leading to.
And people, regardless, and so many of us with shiny object, go do this, go do that, go do that. Every roofer you talk to has like 12 businesses. You're like,
correct.
And 13 of them are screwed up, right?
Yeah. And they're all being paid for by the roofing company.
Yeah, and the roofing company is like bleeding money to pay for them all. Like the podcast we're doing right now, right?
Correct. Yes, that's a fact.
Mine too.
You're fucking welcome.
Yeah, mine too. But that being said, like, I had to learn that, though. I had to learn that, you know what, like, I have to find that balance. I can't just be, like, over here and not pay attention to my baby, the mothership, right?
Yep.
The roofing company, that's the mothership. And since then, I've been really working towards finding this place of balance, because I had to start a business. You got to dive in. You got to freaking build it. You got to go through the trenches to make it happen. I did that. Spent about a year and a half filming everything and creating everything and marketing everything and starting a podcast and writing a book and doing all the things. But once I got to the point where I got it all in place, and then I started to reevaluate, like, man, the roofing company started, like, going the wrong direction.
Right.
And it wasn't because of a lack of ability. It was a lack of leadership.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, shit. I just need to lead.
Right.
I got to freaking lead. They need a leader. They need a visionary. They need somebody to cast that vision out there for the rest of the troops to rally around that. And that vision was over here doing something else, right? So circling back where I'm at, you talk about the word of the year and stuff like that, and as I go into this year, like, I'm very intentional right now about, you know, we talked about earlier, like, find your strengths as a leader. Find the thing that you're really good at, that brings you the most joy and value in your own personal life, that also has the highest contribution and value add to your company and to the people around you. And what I discovered through all of this is that my superpower, so to speak, is empowering others and helping other people grow and coaching.
Yep.
So now my role You know, we talk about most leaders, we spend 80% of our time doing the shit we don't want to do.
Correct.
And 20% of the time doing the stuff that we love and are actually pretty good at and that we should be doing. My goal this year is to flip-flop that. And that my 20% was coaching and mentoring and building up people, right? I love doing it. I feel like it's part of my purpose, and by no means am I great at it. I just show up and try to be genuine, be authentic, and help people grow.
I think you're pretty good.
And now I can apply that to both businesses. So I'm spending the majority of my time working with contractors and men and women that are trying to build companies, and as well as my leadership team and my sales team, trying to help them be the best that they can possibly be to get the most out of them. And we're already seeing just this energy of everything just rising because I'm in my strength zone 80% of the time.
Was it weird the first time, or maybe you haven't done it, but I'm pretty sure you have. Was it weird the first time that you consulted and helped a company in your same market?
Yeah. I mean, yes and no, because I'm in a big market, man. Here's how I made that distinction. It was, there's 5,000 registered at the time. There's probably more now, but there's like 4 or 5, something. I've heard the number anywhere from 4 to 10. I don't know, in Denver, right? In Colorado. It's insane how many registered roofing contractors are there. And I'm like, wait a minute. There's 5,000 registered contractors, and I work with, even if I worked with 50 of them, that's less than 1%.
Right.
Of the market, right? So in the way I just, when I looked at the numbers, I was like, nah, man. And I probably have a dozen contractors I work with in my market, and a good amount of them are kicking ass.
Good.
They're crushing.
I mean, I hope they're
doing great. Yeah, most of them are doing great.
Not a good sales pitch if they're not.
Yeah, they'll suck.
I mean, there's these two that fucking are not very good, but we're not going to name names.
But in all honesty, they all had tremendous years last year, and a few of them though, like there's companies that I started working with when they're like $500,000, did $10 million last year.
Yeah.
I don't talk about that a lot. It's like not like, oh, look at me, I'm bragging, but like I didn't do it. I just was there to support them. They did it.
Gave them the tools.
I just supported them, and they freaking crushed it, right? They did it with the right values and the right integrity and did it right. They followed
that feels good.
Tool. It feels good to just be a part of that journey over and over and over again, and that's why I do this, man. And, all ships rise.
Yep.
The rising tide rises all ships. So that's what I believe in my own market, and that's why I have a number of companies that work with. We're in Texas right now. Between Texas and Colorado, that's probably the most
of
centralized companies I work with. Yeah. But we got companies all over the country at this point.
Do you operate your roofing company anywhere other than Denver?
Yes, Colorado, all over Colorado.
I couldn't remember.
Currently.
Do you want to be in other markets?
No. Selfishly, though, here's the deal. No.
I love that.
Because selfishly, I don't like freaking traveling.
Yeah.
I got a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old. I'm in that phase in life. You got your daughter.
Yep.
Like, I'm in the phase of life where I'm coaching my kids. I want to be home for them. I want to, and selfishly, no. But I also understand that, like, God gave me a special gift as an entrepreneur and has, like, a purpose for my life. Yeah. And some of that has to do with growing and scaling a business and having a large impact on this industry. So I wrestle with that a little bit. So I'm not closed off to the idea. Mm-hmm. And the way the industry's going.
If you're not passionate about it, though, like, you shouldn't fucking do it, right? Well, until you're ready to be passionate about it and throw all in, right?
I'm passionate about helping people and growing a great business.
Yeah.
But I'm not passionate. Like I said, selfishly.
Yeah. Just because you think it's something you should do doesn't mean it's something that you should do.
Yeah. Yeah. So great question.
I'm going to fucking patent that.
There you go.
Joanna, when you're cutting this, that was a good I just made that fucking up. Use that shit.
I'm sure it's written somewhere in there.
No, it's not. Nobody ever said that before. I fucking said it.
You heard it first here, folks.
You heard it first here. Just because you think you should do. I don't know how the fuck I even said it now. It sounded really good when I did, though.
Yeah, it was good.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Make
it a T-shirt.
I'm a wordsmith.
Yeah.
Just like when we were starting our panel over there before yours started.
Yeah.
The way we attracted people is I just got on a mic and yelled, "Prison and drugs. Prison and drugs. Come listen to our panel for prison." It fucking filled up. Absolutely. Okay, over the last handful of years, because I love talking about fuck ups.
Oh yeah.
What would you say was your biggest struggle in business that you had to overcome, and what did you do?
My biggest struggle in business,
or season, like worst season that you had. I don't mean worst financially. It could mean that, but like, you know what I'm saying. And then like, what did we do?
Yeah, the problem is I don't know which one to pick as my worst. So
how about recent?
The recent has been the 4 years going through COVID, man.
Yeah.
So like I talked about earlier, I mean, we caught lightning in a bottle, man. We had, incredible rise with our company and scaled quickly and just were crushing it, right? And then, storms stopped happening, COVID stopped happening at the same time. I'm distracted. I'm over here working on this other project, this other business, and all those things combined put us in a place where it's like, hey, man, it's going so well. Like, I probably at that time I probably had $250,000 a month in overhead that I got to pay for.
Yeah.
You know how that goes, right?
Yeah.
And it's like of really good people that helped us build this really special organization, and going through the process of having to pick and choose who gets to stay and who unfortunately is not going to be a part of our business anymore.
Fucking worst, isn't
was
it?
The worst. That was it, man. That's the one that was the hardest to do, but I'm also extremely grateful for, because that's what makes you. You have to be able to make those sort of decisions to truly honor your commitment to build a special business.
And then did you execute the decisions?
Some of them, yes. Some of them was like I had to let go of, this was a couple rounds. 2 or 3 rounds of layoffs we had to deal with.
Really?
And it was tough. Like some of them, we had my partners and different, division leaders, and so. But one of them, I let off one of my best friends of 20-something years. We stood in each other's weddings. We haven't talked since.
Oh fuck! Really?
Yeah. This was 2 years ago now.
God, that's so real. Like, if there's anybody watching that didn't just fucking hit the gut, right? Like that's such a real thing, and it's I talk about it all the time, but like. There's a lot of things that I love about owning my own business and being an entrepreneur. And there's a lot of things that I hate, but there is nothing I hate more than having to let people go. Even if they're garbage. You know what I mean? Like, even if they're shit.
Yeah.
Because I think that it's my fault then that they're shit as well. And it's like, well, I clearly just didn't do enough to make you better.
Yep.
Right? And to make you be able to succeed, which then leads to my other fault of hanging on too fucking long to them because I think I can fix everybody, right? Apparently I'm like a woman from the 90s and think I can fix every man. You know what I mean? Like in every movie is what and I think that I can fix them, make them better, and eventually you have to come to the realization or have somebody give you the realization and be like, dude, they're not going anywhere. Like, you got to let them go, right?
Yeah.
And it's
you have this hero complex that just God, like, I'm not God, man. Like, you're not God, right? It's like,
I don't think so.
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not.
But that's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah,
but,
right.
Like, that's hard, man. Whether they're, because you own your role as a leader. Like, you hire these people, you provide the opportunities. Like, your business provides the livelihood of many families. When you start breaking it down, the guy on the crew that you don't even know,
right?
You're providing for his family, but the decisions that you make, that I make right now, when you really process that, you own that. Like, someone who cares, like, you care, I care.
Yeah,
it just
it'd be
makes
way
it that
easier
much
if
harder
we
if
didn't
you
give
just
a
didn't
shit.
give a shit. Yeah,
right. I think that's why sometimes I get angry at businesses that are just fucking blowing up and succeeding with cocksuckers as leaders. You know what I mean? Because it's like, it's easy for them to detach because they don't give a fuck about their people.
Yep.
Right? And there's moments, and I'm sure you've had this moment where you're like, man, I wish I could be like that for a second. Right? And then I yank it away. It's like, no, I don't want to be an asshole. I mean, I'm an asshole, but like, I don't want to be like that kind of asshole.
Yep.
But for a moment, it's like, man, I wish I could just detach and not give a shit.
Yeah.
Because I bet I could make a lot of fucking money.
Yep. then reality hits you back. You're like, why do I do what I do, right? But there's definitely times where I'm just like, if I just didn't care, I could build something like crazy and all these mergers and private equity and all the shit that's going on right now. Like, I could press a button right now and go that direction and peace out.
How many times?
Out. But it's like, I can't do that to my people. Like, I'm so adamant about our values and our culture, bro, that like, to a fault, but like every decision, people, business, operations, strategy, they're all based off of, does this fit within our core values or does it not? To the point where That's why this is my first time back at Win the Storm in 7 years.
7?
I haven't been in 7 years.
Where was that one at?
Miami. I think it was 7 years, something like that. 7 or 8 years.
That was my first one.
Yeah, mine too. And I vowed never to come back because I didn't align with the values of what I saw and felt in there. I guess I'm saying that publicly here now, but like,
yeah,
I didn't align with it.
I don't think that's a big shocker.
And I didn't align with it. That's not how I wanted to live my life. It's not the environment I wanted to be around.
Yeah.
And it probably hurt the progress of growing my business because everybody came to Win the Storm for many years and I didn't go.
Yeah.
You know, but I just stuck to my values and I'm like, I'm not coming back. I won't ever go back there because it doesn't align with my values.
Right.
And then now, like, Josie, I love the guy. We have a value fit. Like, I get along with him. I appreciate his values, appreciate what he's trying to do. So once I correlated that and I connected with him, it was like, let's go. I got you. I'll come back.
Yeah.
That's what.
I love that the only one you went to is Miami. That's hilarious. That was the first one I went to. That was such, like, I vividly remember it, but yet vaguely remember it. And I just remember how they switched the location at like the last minute, ended up being like under a
warehouse.
Bridge. Well, here's what I found out later. It was like it used to be like a whorehouse.
What?
If you walk down those hallways, you remember there's like just a little room, if you walk down a hallway and there'd just be some weird block room off to the side, that's a fucking room.
Wow.
And like they used to be like, and they used to film porn there.
Oh my gosh.
Is what I heard later, which made sense after the fact, and the fact that it was under a bridge. And remember, you couldn't go outside the gates, and they brought the food trucks
into the
because you were going to get fucking raped or robbed if you like went outside the gates.
Yeah,
I'll never forget that. That was crazy as shit. What a time. And that was also the first show I ever went to.
Oh wow.
Ever. I'd never been to a show before that one, and I brought one sales rep. I had a sales rep.
Yeah.
At the time, and brought a
like,
rep.
What are you doing, man? What are you
I mean, it was. I didn't have the exact same reaction that you did to it because obviously I kept coming back because I didn't know any better. I just assumed that's what shows were. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I didn't fucking know, and I liked the speakers, and you know what I mean. But like as I've grown over time and like gotten to know the different people and the different, everything. It's reshaped my lens and, everything else. But I'm glad that this happened, and I'm glad that like this was all put together the way that it was.
I think so. I think this is just the start of something that the industry needs, and that the right leadership team is in place, and the community is in place to really execute that. It was really cool to see how everybody came together to really rally around this thing now. And I'll say there's no disrespect, and blessings for those the previous leadership team that had done it before. Like they created something special. I respect the hustle. I respect what they did, and I hope and pray every day that they're doing great, and that they're
doing however they're supposed to do.
That's they're learning and growing just like everybody, and teach their own. And I wish you all the best. Put it that way.
100%. So as we wrap up, I always. And I know, especially with you, I make this statement with other guests, and I'm like, this motherfucker doesn't think, so he's not going to have anything. But I always want to bring it back at the end because there's to the guest, because I always know that somebody usually comes in with something that they want to talk about, and I forget to fucking bring it up. Or we started to dig into something, and then I veer us down a rabbit hole, and we forgot to really finish the thought. And I always want to give the guests the opportunity to kind of land the plane with what they really wanted people or me to hear, because sometimes they just want to yell at me. But like, what would you like to leave everybody with either one of those thoughts?
Well, I think where I'm at, where you're at in our career, it's like, and it's so I'm so grateful, man, and blessed. Like I come to these events, and multiple times someone comes up and is like, hey Randy, thank you for what you do, thank you for content, thank you for this. It's like so humbling and so cool to be like, hi, I've never met you before, but like thank you for that, thank you for the support, because you never know why. I just do what I do because I really just want to help and serve the industry that I feel like indebted to, right? And it's easy to be portrayed as like you're up here on this freaking like pedestal, or you've been there, you're at the freaking top of the pinnacle, and like, no way, man. Like, that's what I would leave somebody with is like, everybody has a story, everybody has a past, everybody has a history, and and I'm pretty open about it too, where my early going as an entrepreneur was an epic fail, bro. Yeah. Like I tried to do it all on my own, wearing all the hats, trying to be all things to all people, and also making dumb decisions.
Was that in roofing?
Drinking, partying, construction.
Were you a problem? Were you a problem for a while?
Problem.
Well, you just said drinking and like, were you a problem? Like, did you get in trouble at all?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, man. So
have we talked about that?
We haven't.
Okay. Well, what the fuck? Let's talk about that.
Well,
real
let's
quick.
go.
We don't have to be done.
Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. I want to hear about Randy being.
So here's what happened, right? I went to college. At the time I went to college, like, family was completely falling apart. Parents got divorced. The whole thing. I just was like, forget that. Screw that. I grew up in my dad was a pastor. I grew up in a very like conservative, like faith-based home, religious home, and my whole world crumbled around me at the same time I left to go to college. So like partying became my family, right? And my fraternity brother is my and the women and all the things that you just get into at that age as a kid. And by the time I graduated, I was in a place. I just got my business started, and I thought I was a man. I was like king of the hill, like this college kid partier, just got a business degree and started a business and bought a boat and a truck and doing all the things. I was the cool kid on campus, right? And one time we go camping up in Glendale, Wyoming, and we're camping, we're partying, man. It got to the point where you know the game beer pong, right? We played a lot of that in college, right? We were playing beer pong with vodka. So I was like in the bushes, puking my brains out, came back, like, fill it up again, let's just knucklehead kid. That's the kid I was at the time. And lo and behold, a scuffle happens as the park rangers come up, and they start giving our little college crew a hard time and put out your fire and all this, and we're all wasted and acting like jackasses. And long story short, I ended up in jail with a felony assault on a peace officer charge, along with 3 other charges of like disorderly conduct, drunk, and blah 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 blah, facing 10 years.
Wow.
And I spent 5 days. It was over the holiday, and I had just took a big deposit. I just got my business started, and I didn't have the means. My family didn't have the means. Like, I didn't have the means to just call, and it was like 15 grand was my bail.
Oh shit!
It was like I didn't have the money. I'm like some 23-year-old kid. Like I don't have that kind of money, and I had just started my business, so I had to like call a friend of mine who happened to be there, and I had to like do like power of attorney, and he had to go to my account, like figure out how to get money out of my business account to then get me the cash to get out, and then I had to find a lawyer who completely bent us over, and so that was like a very defining moment in my life. From multiple perspectives, but you're sitting in there like, dude, I'm a successful big man on campus, but here I am in college sitting next to some dude facing life in prison.
Right.
My cellmate, right? It was his 3rd strike, attempted murder. That was my cellmate. Sat there and talked to him for 5 days straight. Talking about, you want to get some real life, like, holy shit, like, what am I doing in my life, right?
Wow.
And the financial aspect of that event started the trickle effect, which ultimately led me to going bankrupt and losing my business.
From that episode?
Because I had to leverage my business funds to pay for that.
Yeah.
Then I found myself in a place where I'm just borrowing from Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm doing this construction project, and I got X amount left over. Once I pay for my stupid truck and my stupid boat and my and my lifestyle and all the other dumb crap that I had put myself in position to do.
Because you got to keep that boat.
Oh, got to keep the boat.
Yeah. Don't fuck with the boat, people.
Get rid of the boat, dude. Yeah. And, and lo and behold, at the same time, it just all came crashing down. And at the same time, this is when the first recession hit. In 2007. This happened in 2006.
Okay.
And then by the time it all settled in and my business was going at 7 and 8, that was when the crisis, the financial crisis started happening, and then the bubble burst and the mortgage crisis started happening, right?
So how'd you get out of the fucking beating up a cop?
Paid an attorney a lot of money, another $17,000 to get me. I had no other charges.
I'd say that was worth it.
So yeah, that was worth it. But at the end of the day, he made 2 phone calls, and he knew the DA and charged me $17,000 to make 2 phone calls and say, hey, give this kid a pass and give him a. I had some charges, but they were like misdemeanors.
But now you sound like a homeowner said you did that roof too fast. It shouldn't have cost $30,000.
Touche.
That motherfucker worked his ass off to have those relationships.
Showed him his Corvette for 30 minutes and charged me $17,000.
I'd be like, money well spent. Fucking 10 years in prison.
Here you go, buddy.
Yeah.
But me being that, like, I literally leveraged my whole life for that, had a whole different perspective. My buddy, my buddy, he's like, called his family and just got money out. He was out. I was in it for 5 days. He was in for 3. I'm like, I'm 2 days later, bro. I'm still stuck.
So they ended up did they end up dropping charges?
So they dropped the felony charge and they turned it down into like a disorderly conduct misdemeanor. I just paid some fines and went on like a year or 2 probation and just had to, kind of an unsupervised probation thing. So it was my first offense. Like, it was a lot more scarier than it really ended up being. But when you're sitting in that courtroom and they're like, maximum sentence is 10 years for this charge, you're like, oh my God, like, what did I just do? It just makes you really
That's a real sobering moment.
Absolutely.
That's a real
absolutely.
I remember when I got sentenced and they took me away, and I was looking at 1 to 5 years in prison.
Yeah.
And he gave me he believed me. I went to treatment, came back, he actually believed me and like gave me the minimum, which was 90 days in jail. But I remember when they do the sentencing and then they fucking cuff you and they take you upstairs to where they hold everybody until they bus you off to jail. And it's like the old jail cells upstairs at this courthouse in Douglas County in Nebraska. And it's like, but it's not used for anything other than that. So it's like history. It's like going and walking through Alcatraz.
Oh, man.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's super creepy. And I'll never forget, it gets really segregated in jail, right? So, like, you've got your whites and you've got your blacks and you've got your Mexicans. But as a white guy, you had to, like, be super careful because the same other people that got sentenced that day was, like, the little skinny guy with glasses. And people come over and be like, fuck you in here for? And they're like, taxes, accounting. And they're like, nope, you're a chimo. And fucking, like, that's a sobering moment as well, right? Like, because you have to back off. And you're like, fuck, who are my people? Like, that's weird. And you're like, oh my God, this is my life now, right? And the fact that you got to have that kind of wake up call and that aha moment the first time, you know what I mean? Like, you're lucky as shit, right? Because you saw it, and then you saw it for what it was. And yes, you went through some more shit and you went bankrupt, you know what I mean? And like, you had to go through that pain and that struggle to be able to come out on the other side. But the fact that you were able to realize it then and didn't go down a different path, like, kudos fucking to you, man, because that's awesome, right? And I think that that's a lesson that people can take from this as well, is like, you don't have to keep going, right? Like, take the opportunity to learn from others, right? Which is why you do the consulting and help people, is because it's like, you don't have to make all the same mistakes that we did. You don't have to make all the mistakes, whether it's in your life, in your personal life, in your business life, in whatever. Like, you don't have to learn the hard way like we did. Right? There's opportunities to learn from other people, from guys like me, from guys like Randy, from guys like, there's so many people out there that can teach you. Now, vet the fuck out of them, please. Like, vet people before you fucking
character.
Yeah, like, fucking, like, vet people before you hire them, right? But take the opportunity to learn from other people. You don't have to figure it all out on your own. I wish I would have had, like, there was no fucking Google. There was no videos to watch.
There was no books. There was no courses.
There was no universities.
Nothing.
There was none of that shit, right? And we kind of had to make it up as we went. Nobody has to do that.
Nope.
Anymore. So, like, if there's a lesson that you can learn in this 44 minutes that we just went, right, it's you don't have to do this on your own. Whether it's in business or it's your personal life and your personal growth and your business growth, it doesn't matter. You don't have to do it alone. You can learn from other people. Yep. Right?
And one thing I've learned, too, on that to land the plane here is that, like, sometimes we get in our own heads about, like, I'm scared to ask this guy, or we put people on pedestals. Like, first off, successful people have a certain level of ego. So when you ask them, like,
they love fucking talking about themselves.
They want to talk about themselves. So there's a little bit there. But there's also a lot of people who've been successful didn't get there on their own. They got there the same process that we're talking about.
Somebody helped them.
Somebody helped them.
Yeah.
So if you just ask, put yourself out there, shoot him a message. Like, I love it. Like so, you know, I get the, you know, I have some fun. We talk. I have exotic cars. I got some cool shit in life right now. I'm grateful, you know. And one of the things I love the absolute most is just the other day. I go out of the gym, get in my car, and this young kid, he's 19 years old. He's like, "Hey, what do you do?" I sat there and talked to him for like 10 minutes, gave him a bunch of advice and business advice and all this. So he's like, "I'm starting a business, the clothing company, and all this." I'm like, this interaction right now is what's going to help you be successful.
Yeah.
Because you walked up to a perfect stranger, and literally because of the vehicle he's driving, you asked him what he does. Mm-hmm. And you learn from that, and you put yourself out there to do that. Like, take that lesson, get uncomfortable, and go do it.
Lose the ego, and like lose the ego, and don't be afraid to ask for help. That's awesome. I think that's a great. I'm glad that we fucking dug into that, because like that's landing the plane. Like, I never know exactly how to get there, but we always get there.
Yeah, man.
Right? We figure out a way to get there. Randy, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm glad we stuck around so that we could, you know, like, put this together and make this happen. Everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe to this shit if you got anything from it. I have no sponsors. I'm poor. So Zen, for all your nicotine needs. I'm trying to get Zen to sponsor me. They won't do it, but I'm just going to keep pushing until they do. Zen, for all your nicotine needs. Cinnamon is my favorite. Also, no sponsors. So Cult Culture Movement. If you're looking for somewhere to get with a group of men to level up your life a little bit, have some accountability in it, and learn something, reach out. Do some group calls twice a month. Take some awesome fucking trips. Going to Grand Cayman, going scuba diving. It's going to be awesome. So reach out, see if maybe you'd be a fit for that. We'd love to see you. Love to teach and help people grow, just like Randy does. That's all I got. This is a wrap. This is the end of Win the Storm. I'm really excited that we got to finish and it was quiet, so everybody could hear us talk, which is always fun. Really appreciate that. Appreciate you listening. And remember, everybody, to be authentic or get the fuck out. You can't be authentic. Get the fuck out if you can't be authentic. Get the fuck out if you can't be authentic. Yeah. Swipes.